You know that action movie you love? Or that super dramatic soap opera you can't stop watching? Ever wonder where their DNA really comes from? Well, it might be a lot older than you think. Today, we're diving into a period that was basically the Hollywood of its time, an artistic explosion that laid the groundwork for so much of our modern entertainment, the Spanish Golden Age of theater.
Yeah, think about it. Long before Hollywood was even a glimmer in someone's eye, 17th century Spain was cranking out stories with all the love, honor, and swashbuckling adventure we still can't get enough of. This wasn't just a golden age for Spanish theater. In a way, it was the birth of popular entertainment as we know it.
So, how did this theatrical revolution even happen? What was in the water? Well, to really get it, we gotta roll back the clock and look at the very specific historical moment that set the stage for the stage.
So picture this. It's the late 15th century. Spain is suddenly a unified nation for the first time. It's feeling good about itself, it's full of national pride, and, oh yeah, it's suddenly flush with an unbelievable amount of cash from the New World. That combination of pride and wealth, it created the perfect storm for the arts to just explode.
And this rise to power was fast. Look at this timeline. It all kicks off in 1469 with the marriage of Fernando and Isabel, which brings the country together. Then you get 1492, and wow, what a year. That's not just Columbus's voyage, it's also a huge consolidation of power at home. Fast forward just a few decades, and by 1550, boom, Spain is the undisputed leading power in the world. The Golden Age is on. And what's so wild about this period is that theater wasn't just one thing. No, you had these two totally different worlds thriving at the exact same time. One was sacred, all for the church, and the other was secular, all for the people. First up, you've got the sacred stuff. These were called the autos sacramentales. The best way to think of them is as one-act religious plays. Their entire job was to explain and celebrate the teachings of the Catholic Church, using all sorts of characters, human, supernatural, you name it, to get the message across. And this is the best way to picture how they were performed. Seriously, they were like the world's first theatrical parade floats. They were staged on these massive, ornate wagons called carros that would roll through the city streets. It started with 2 wagons, but eventually they got so elaborate they were using 4 wagons around a stage. It was a huge public spectacle. Okay, so on the complete other end of the spectrum, you had the comedia. This was the blockbuster entertainment for everybody else. And don't let the name fool you. Comedia didn't just mean comedy. It was the word for any full-length, 3-act play. And these things were jam-packed with everything the public wanted: dramatic conflicts, sword fights, and high-stakes romance. And you can see just how different these two worlds were. Look at this. The autos, all about religious ideas, super serious in tone and paid for by the church and the city. The comedias, totally different game. They were all about love and honor, way more romantic and melodramatic, and they were funded by people buying tickets at public theaters. 2 completely different experiences for 2 completely different audiences. So, who were the geniuses writing these smash-hit comedias? Well, the era was really defined by 3 absolute titans of the stage, each one building on what the last one started. It all really starts with the pioneer, a guy named Lope de Rueda. See, before there were even permanent theaters in Spain, Rueda was out there on the road with his acting troupe. He was performing anywhere he could, in town squares, in palaces, and he was building an audience for secular plays. He was basically proving the business model could work. And then came the superstar, Lope de Vega. This guy wasn't just a playwright, he was a force of nature. He's the one who really locked in the formula for Spanish drama. The 3-act structure, the mix of comedy and tragedy, the suspense. And his #1 goal always was to give the crowd a good show. And when I say force of nature, I am not kidding. Just look at that number. 1,500. That is how many plays he is believed to have written. It's just staggering. Even though only about 470 of them survive today, the sheer output is unbelievable. He was a content factory 400 years before we even knew what that was. And this quote right here, it tells you everything you need to know about his entire philosophy. He's basically saying, yeah, I know all the classical rules of playwriting, and I lock them up and throw away the key. Because for him, the only thing that mattered was the audience's reaction. The applause was his only measure of success. Of course, anytime you talk about a theater legend from this period, you gotta ask the big question, right? How does he stack up against his English counterpart, the one and only William Shakespeare? They were writing at the exact same time, but their approach was, well, pretty different. And when you break it down, it's really fascinating. Lope de Vega was the undisputed king of action, of thrilling plots, and of sweeping romance. Shakespeare, on the other hand, his true genius was in his incredibly deep exploration of human nature. You could put it this way. Lope de Vega celebrates the sheer variety of life, while Shakespeare tries to illuminate the meaning of life.
So after the whirlwind that was Lope de Vega, you get his successor, Pedro Calderón de la Barca. And if de Vega was the guy who created the blockbuster formula, Calderón was the artist who came in and perfected it, polished it, and gave it a new kind of depth. He often wrote for the more highbrow audiences at the royal court.
His most famous play, Life is a Dream, is the perfect example of what he did. Yeah, it's a gripping story with twists and turns, but at its heart, it's wrestling with one of the biggest questions there is. Are we in charge of our own lives, or is everything just fate? He proved that the Spanish stage could be a place for big, philosophical ideas.
Okay, so after all this, you might be thinking, cool story, but why does a bunch of 400-year-old theater actually matter today? Well, the answer is that its influence is hiding in plain sight. It's everywhere.
That storytelling DNA of the commedia, that focus on action, romance, suspense, and dramatic twists, it became a fundamental blueprint for popular entertainment all over the world.
I mean, just think about it. The daring hero in a swashbuckling pirate movie, total commedia vibe. Those super dramatic, over-the-top showdowns in a soap opera, yep, you can trace that right back here. The central conflict in a romance novel between what the heart wants and what honor demands, that was their bread and butter. Even these huge, epic stories with a massive cast of characters, all of these ideas were being perfected on the Spanish stage centuries ago.
And all this leaves us with a really fun question to think about. A guy like Lope de Vega, who wrote 1,500 plays with the single goal of pleasing the crowd, if he were alive right now, do you really think he'd be writing for a small theater audience? Or would he be in a writer's room somewhere cranking out the next binge-worthy hit for Netflix or HBO? It really makes you wonder.